Hi everyone, I'm Keith M7BYD. Once again, a very warm welcome, wherever you are, to our new Hams Net. Before our net, let's ask if there's any emergency or priority traffic. M7BYD standing by. Okay, nothing heard. If at any time there is any emergency, priority traffic, at any time throughout the net, please call Break, and that way we'll stand by immediately for you. It's always my very great pleasure to host and net control our new Hams Net, which takes place every Sunday at the time of 2000 hours GMT, which is currently 1900 hours UTC, and here on the Extended Freedom Network. I'll take a pip. Please do feel at home and relaxed here on our net, because you'll always find everyone very friendly and welcoming, and it doesn't matter where you are or indeed what grade of license you hold. And if you're a brand spanking new amateur, please do push your PTT and give me a shout, even if it's just to get your name into the logbook. I'll take a pip. M7BYD returning. If you can, please do remember the repeaters quite literally all around the globe will time out after 3 minutes. So do take a pip during your over, and that'll give the repeaters time to reset. And when you call in or after a pip, give a short pause before you speak, and that way the beginning of your over isn't clipped. I'll take another pip. As always, quite consistently, I'm very grateful to my mate Gareth, G0WUR, who is one of the Extended Freedom Network founders, for entering your check-ins into NetLogger. And of course, that way we'll all see who's checked into the net, including the very great comments that I enjoy seeing on the blue screen. And if you haven't got NetLogger, it's free to download. I really encourage you to get it. Okay, on to my topic, which is radio features. So using HF is becoming ever more challenging, and most of us have so much more QRM to contend with as time's gone on. So I'd like to know people's experiences using the features on their radios to combat such issues. As we all know, sensitivity is very important in radio, but it's what we're able to do with the signal once it's received, and that can make the difference between, quite literally, a QSO or not. The filtration in modern SDR radios is ridiculously good, as is the narrowing control that is available. But if such facilities are not on your preferred radio, have you tried external digital audio processing methods? Maybe you use such a method on a radio that's got everything, but it's not all about QRM. What features of your radio really stand out and make you think, I definitely made the right choice? So can you help us all decide what we might consider buying next? I'll take a pip. As always, if you want to go off topic, we can talk about quite literally whatever you want. And also, please call out and give an answer to a question or help someone you heard earlier on in the net. Okay, I'll ask for check-ins if I may, please. And if you would, please speak slowly with your call sign, your name, and your location. I'm Keith M7BYD, host and net control of the New Hams Net here on the Extended Freedom Network, and I'm taking check-ins, please.
Golf 7, Oscar Charlie Kilo. Golf 7, Oscar Charlie Kilo. Brian in the land of the Prince Bishops.
Six Papa Quebec Victor Mobile. I'm located on top of Ashurst Beacon, northwest England.
This is Mike 0 Uniform Kilo Bravo. Mike 0 Uniform Kilo Bravo. Bruce in Allendale.
This is M7BYD. Well, thank you for checking in, gentlemen. I had a little bit of a pile-up between G7OCK Brian and Bruce, who is M0UKB. There was an M7 station, and there was some doubling going on. But I see on the blue screen that that one of the stations was Stefan, M7CJH. Not sure if down there. So there was another station that doubled with Stefan. So the M7CJH. So other station, if you wouldn't mind going ahead again, please. M7BYD standing by.
For Dublin, the call sign is Mike 6 Papa Quebec Victor. Name is Barry. I'm mobile on top of Ashurst Beacon, northwest England.
Kilo Bravo 2, Foxtrot Alpha. Kilo Bravo 2, Foxtrot Alpha. Carl in New Jersey.
This is M7BYD. So, yeah, in the log right now, I do have KB2FA, M0UKB, M7CJH, M6PQV, and G7OCK. So, to the mobile station, which is M6PQV, you are taking priority, sir. So, please do go ahead. M7BYD standing by.
Thank you, Keith. Much appreciated. Yeah, situated there on top of a large hill, high ground. There's quite a few mobile stations up here, all doing their own little nets and little bits and bobs. I'm going to have to cut it short because I'm interfering with one of the other stations. I just thought I'd call in and say hello from M6PQV. I'm going to have to take a standby. I'm getting shouted at. I'm interfering with another station.
Yeah, M6PQV M7BYD. No, not at all. It's sadly one of those things, Barry. I'm sorry that interference has prevented you from joining in, so to speak. But such is amateur radio and radio signals. But good of you to call in, and do take care. And you're welcome at any time. And your name is in the log. Thanks very much, Barry. So from your good self, we will drop down the list to Brian, and Brian is G7OCK, a stalwart member of the club that I'm honoured to belong to, which is the Bishop Auckland Radio Amateur Club. A big plug there, as it's necessary. What are your thoughts, Brian? You've used many different radios. You'll know the features that are available on them all. Have you used any to any great extent, and have they assisted you in your quest, so to speak? Thanks for calling in, Brian. Over to your good self, G7OCK from M7BYD.
Keith, you're still keyed up.
Just not Bruce. Thanks, mate. I was wondering what had happened. Right. Well, yeah, I've got a few radios kicking about one way or the other. Some with more features on than others. And one of the ones that I do use, certainly in the home QDH, is the DX10, which has lots and lots of features on it and can do all sorts of wonderful and magical things. The only problem being is my older brain box keeps forgetting which button does what to do, what and when. And I keep having to keep looking back at the manual or YouTube videos to figure out what I'm doing wrong with it. And 9 times out of 10, I should have known which switch it was and where to push it. So hopefully that's going to help, Keith. I want the one with a bit of artificial intelligence on, because I've lost mine from Golf 7 Oscar Charlie Kilo.
No, G7OCK, M7BYD. Yeah, I apologise for what happened earlier on. I have no idea why, but my SIP phone has completely restarted itself. I haven't lost any power on anything, as far as I'm aware. No, we're having lightning strikes taking place near me, but my SIP phone has just completely reset itself, and I tried to disconnect, but it wasn't allowing me, so I don't know what on earth happened. But anyway, it's come back on now, and I'll reconnect very shortly with this. So yeah, if, from what you've experienced, I think we all have that, Brian. There's no doubt about it. When you're learning new things, especially things that have got more facilities and features, there's a learning curve. And so watching YouTube is a great source, without question. There's no doubt. But in the relatively short time that you've had that wonderful transceiver, is there anything you've found that to you initially stands out as being beneficial to you, or that's worked well, that you've found out about it? Maybe more in the future, but right now, Brian, has it helped you in any way? So if you don't mind, back to your good self, and I'll try and re-establish communications via the SIP portal. Back to you, Brian, G7OCK from M7BYD.
Yeah, Roger on that case. Well, I used to use a noise eliminator, QRM eliminator, which I found was a little bit fiddly at times, and I couldn't get away with it very well, as you know, so I got shot of it. But since getting the DX10 and getting the filtration set up the way I want the filtration set up for the QRM that I've got at the home location, it seems to work very, very well. Whether I'm using it to 100% of its capability, probably not. Whether I can remember which button to press when for whatever noise I want to try and get shut off at the time, that's a guaranteed certainty. I can never remember. So it's always back to the notes, back to the YouTube video, and failing that, get back into the manual again. And that's why I want the next radio I get is going to have a complete AI interface in there and do everything for me. So all I have to do then is pick up the microphone and speak, and it takes all the noise out for me. It would be great. So any manufacturers that's listening out there, that's what we want, one that does everything for you. And all we have to do is use it. From Golf 7, Oscar Charlie Kilo.
Absolutely, Brian. Yes, I've reset the SIP portal and it seems to be working here on my phone. I absolutely agree. AI is the way forward. There's no doubt about it. The control that you have over something, where it can second guess what it is that you're trying to achieve and assist you in your quest. Other than that, the mediums you've already mentioned, going onto YouTube, which is a brilliant resource. There's no doubt about it. It's been a great benefit to us all as amateur radio enthusiasts, especially with new products that have facilities and features that hitherto unknown. So, yeah, enjoy your radio, Brian. You've got a good one. There's no doubt about it. And as part of amateur radio, I mean, if you knew everything about it from day one, it isn't as much fun. It's a strange thing. I think we've put onto each other ourselves a little bit of a struggle in order to get things done from time to time, but often it works. Thanks very much for your contribution, Brian. I appreciate it very much. Bid you 7-3 for the time being, and of course we will speak very soon, face to face. 7-3, Brian. Drop down to Stefan right now, and Stefan is M7CJH. I hope you're well, Stefan. What are your thoughts on how you've been able to get over the situation that we have with QRM, or what features have the radio got that really appeals to you? Over to you, Stefan, M7CJH from M7BYD.
M7BYD from M7CJH. Evening, Keith, and the rest of the net. Yeah, I think my situation is very similar to Brian's, simply because I've also got a Yaesu. My HF is mainly done on my FT710, which has similar options for combating QRM and noise and stuff. I have a digital noise reduction, a noise blanker, a digital noise filter, and a couple of amps, like preamps, I got one and got two preamps. And to be honest, I don't really know what they do or what order I should press them in. I'm a sort of person who, once I get a radio, I just turn it on and hope for the best. And I find out what the buttons mean, but then I just press them to see what they do. But, you know, it does make a hell of a lot of a difference. I can generally hear most people. It's they who can't hear me. But, you know, I can pull people out quite well. I mean, I think it was last week, just after the storm, the electromagnetic storm, I heard San Diego, Brazil, Saint Martin in the Caribbean. I could hear people. I could also hear people. I could hear them calling, but I couldn't hear who they were calling to. But it was really, once I pressed all the buttons and fiddled about, it was very clear. I'll take a pip. M7CJH returning. Yeah, so basically, I think these modern radios do make a hell of a lot of difference. But just because you can hear someone, doesn't necessarily mean they can hear you. So sometimes I do get frustrated when I'm calling out to people and they can't hear me. But obviously, as you know, I'm in a compromised situation using a magnetic loop. But I think the loop helps as well. I think that takes a little bit of the noise out of it. But those buttons on the radios, especially on these new radios, are really good and do make a lot of difference. So back to you, M7BYD from M7CJH.
M7CJH, this is M7BYD. I'm happy that you're pleased with your UESA radio. One of the top brands without question. As far as the features that I like the way you put it. For the fact that you press any button and hope for the best. Well, yeah, if it works, it works. But on the dials or buttons and switches, is there any particular feature that you've come across which has made the greatest difference to you? And also I asked the question, has anyone used the digitized audio devices that are available? There's one premium company that springs to mind that manufactures such devices, and to all intents and purposes they're supposed to be extremely good. So even if you haven't got the RF filtration one way or another, perhaps you can do something with the audio. And if you've got the lot, well, great. But don't know if you've got such a device, Stefan. But if you have, all good. But having said that, if there's one particular area on the radio that you've got that you find most useful, let us know. Because if there's any new hams out there listening who want to make a purchase, maybe they can benefit from your information. So, yeah, back to you, Stefan, and thanks once again for joining me. This is M7BYD, back to M7CJH.
M7CJH returning. Yeah, I would say that the feature it does the most is the digital noise reduction. I've not really noticed any difference with the digital noise filter. And if you do use the preamps, you have to use attenuation with them it makes it too loud. Then you sort of like make the sound a little bit. I don't know what you actually, but you press some buttons and it reduces it by a certain amount of dB. So it actually makes it listenable too. But yeah, the digital noise reduction does make a lot of difference. The noise blanker and the digital noise filter. I mean, the noise blanker, if you use that in conjunction with the digital noise reduction, it can, if you've got a good signal, it can make it really, really clear, like someone's in the next room. But the digital noise filter, that doesn't seem to me to make any difference at all. So, but I would say that the digital noise reduction does make a lot of difference. When it goes to sort of like external to the radio equipment, I think that's more your area of expertise than mine, Keith. As I know you have got one of those fancy gadgets. But yeah, I think I've got it noted on my log somewhere what one you use. So at one stage I may invest in one. But I think you're more of an expert on those sort of things than me. But I think the magnetic loop itself does make a lot of difference, especially in built-up areas. It does really reduce the noise compared to a normal antenna. But obviously you're still it's still compromised. I mean, in the end of the day, but compared to a long wire or a proper dipole. But I would say any feature on my radio which is the best, I would say, is a digital noise reduction. So back to you, M7BYD from M7CJH.
M7CJH, M7BYD. Well, yeah, just to say, personally, I don't have anything on the audio side. I know about the equipment, and I've heard very good reports about noise reduction on the audio side. What I do have is the device that Brian alluded to earlier on, because I bought it from him, and that's quite simply the QRM eliminator, where it's got a signal sniffer, detects what it is that's coming in that I want to remove, and then it has a way of doing it within the box, so it reduces the QRM quite significantly. And yes, you do have to fiddle about, but me being a radio amateur, fiddling about is quite comfortable. It's not an area that I'm uncomfortable with at all. So that said, yeah, I'm wondering if anybody's got one of these audio devices that has helped them out in addition to the filtration they've already got. But yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. Appreciate it very much, Stefan. And please do continue to call in as you do. It's always a pleasure to hear you. 73 to your good self, and we'll drop down the list now, if you may, to Bruce. And Bruce M0UKB is one of the founders of the Extended Freedom Network that I'm rather privileged to host this net on. He'll share of his wisdom. So I hope you're well, Bruce. Thank you for taking the time to drop by. Do share with me what your thoughts are when it comes to the features and facilities we've got within our radios, and what can help those who having a bit more difficulty on maybe the QRM side, or indeed features that benefit you on the radio, quite literally on the radio side of things. Over to you, Bruce, if we may. M0UKB, go ahead from M7BYD.
M7BYD from M0UKB. Well, good evening, Keith. I trust you're doing well. You sound in good spirits, so that's always good. Right, well, I'm going to go slightly off-piste here, but not massively. It's not it's sort of a feature of the radio. As you know, I've been playing with various bits and pieces with our good friend Gareth, and the bit I'm going to play with tonight is the USB connection out the back of my 991A, and it allows me to bring the audio out of the rig and into my computer. And then I have used a piece of software called Voice Meter Banana. Yep, that's what it's called, Voice Meter Banana. There are other versions available, Voice Meter Potato. I kid you not. He obviously likes his fruit and veg. But it allows you, it's a mixing desk program, and allows you to bring the audio into your computer. So you can listen to it on your computer audio, you can record it, you can accentuate different parts of the voice, which makes listening to HF a lot more pleasurable. You can turn the volume up and down much easier, and yeah, I have to admit, it's really, really good. If you've got the capability to bring the audio out of your radio and into your computer, heck, you can even do it just coming out as a through the line out, or sorry, line in on the computer, and the external speaker out your radio. Try it. I've been playing on HF today because the weather's been a bit naff, and yeah, I've really used it. Don't get me wrong, the radio is the radio is great, and it's got all its toys, etc., etc. But it's yeah, this is like next level. Oh, and it was expensive, Keith. It's donation where it was €4. That's all. Right, back to you, Keith, from M0UKB.
M0UKB, this is M7BYD. Once again, I'm returning on my my hotspot, as it looks as though my SIP phone has gone off completely yet again, in totality. Very, very strange. And I guess it's flashing as if it's restarting. I don't know why this is taking place. I haven't seen this with such succession, if you will. Anyway, that's by the by. In answer to your over, I found that fascinating, Bruce. I do have that facility myself where I can extract the audio, pop that into connection with the PC, and the software that you describe. Whatever fruit it may or form it may take, if it does the job like that, it becomes rather fascinating. Of course, most of our radios have got the capability to record these days, but if you've got the ability to be able to change the audio in any which way, rather like a mixing desk, if you like, then I find that fascinating. So now you've said that, if you don't mind, Bruce, whereabouts did you see that particular or those particular pieces of software in order that others may think about benefiting from it? And I think the €4 is a pretty good fee. So if you don't mind, give us a share of what it was or where it was that you got the software. Back to you, Bruce. Thanks again for joining me. I appreciate it. M0UKB from M7BYD.
M0UKB returning. Yeah, no problem at all, Keith. Well, if you Google voice meter, but it's spelled slightly differently. It's voice and then meter, MEETER, with a double E at the start. And in there, he sells virtual audio cables and bits and pieces, all sort of geeky techie stuff. Gareth put me onto him for some bits and pieces, and then I found his software, and then realised you don't need any virtual audio cables. You just use this. He does voice meter, which is the more basic one. He does voice meter banana, next level up, then voice meter potato, and then there's one above that. But basically, it's all to do with how many streams you want, and it is a mixing desk. It's a virtual mixing desk. And you can do all sorts with ins and outs. Now, I believe Gareth is listening at the moment. He is listening at the moment. I have a little old radio set up in the shack. It's listening to my All-Star node in RX only mode. It feeds its speaker out feed into my PC. Then it goes into the mixing desk. I'm not actually doing anything with it in terms of mixing, in terms of sort of sound manipulation. It's just literally feeding it, and it's punting it across the internet into Gareth's mobile phone. And I've just had a message saying, sounding rather good tonight. So, yep, it listens and therefore feeds it all in, and you can do all sorts. You can shove it into YouTube or live streams or this or that or the other thing. But I believe Gareth is listening at the moment. And that's how it's all coming in. So before I time out my waffle, voice meter banana is the first level that gives you the record function, which is quite good for £4 or €4. I'm not going to grumble at it, Keith, and it is really good. So I've been playing with it, and I think it's next level cool, should we call it? Keith, M7BYD, back over to you, sir.
M0UKB, M7BYD. Well, how about that? especially what you've been doing in the communications you've just had with Gareth. This is what amateur radio is really all about. Talk about experimentation. It's both fun and at the same time you're achieving things which possibly others hadn't really considered. So yeah, more power to your elbow. I think it's great what you're doing because you're using software that is available to enhance the hobby that we thoroughly enjoy, and even using it from quite literally the audio source that you describe, which is analog at the end of the day. It's into obviously the sound card into your computer. You can do things with it as well. That's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, Bruce. I'm enthralled, to say the very least. So thank you for your contribution, and haven't seen you for a long time, but hopefully that will be addressed at some juncture, mate. I really hope so. Thanks a lot, Bruce. We'll bid you 7-3 for the time being, and we will now, if I may, drop down to Carl, and Carl is KB2FA, and Carl is also a regular contributor, and again, I'm so very grateful for people who take the time to check into this net, which of course will help those who don't necessarily transmit, who are new hams and are thinking about making a purchase. It's the voices of those who have the equipment to start with. Over to you, Carl, and thank you once again. KB2FA, over to you from M7BYD.
And everyone else on the net. This is Carl, New Jersey. Voice is a little off right now. To answer your question, I've only ever had 2 HF radios. One of them is 35 and doesn't have very many features. And I recently bought a G90, which is SDR, and it has a lot of features. I wouldn't even claim that I know all the features, but I guess one of the biggies is the infinite adjustable. I can make it any width that I want without, having to take the radio apart and insert different traps and all that stuff like the old days. So, I can just narrow right in on what kind of bandwidth I want in the IF. So that to me is a wonderful feature, and some of the noise functions are also good. Back to net. KB2FA.
KB2FA, M7BYD. Yeah, I'm sure you'll have noticed quite a jump in features and facilities when you get to a G90. There's no doubt about that at all. And yeah, if you don't have to open the lid, so to speak, into different coil straps or whatever it's coils, like traps or indeed adjustment to IF or anything like that. On SDRs, it makes life a whole lot better. There's no doubt about it. And over the period of time, you'll, rather like Brian was saying earlier on, Brian G70CK, when you have a new radio with a lot more features, there is something of a learning curve. And the very fact you become familiar with them over time and using this learning curve, it's all part of amateur radio. It's fun getting to know the radio that you've got, and can you use all of its features? Do you need to use all of its features? Well, if they are there and you can avail yourself of these features, fine. And you've obviously said that certain things are most beneficial. Is there maybe one feature that you've used, you think, well, yeah, since I got that radio, it's made a difference, the biggest difference of all to you? And I'll ask the question again, have you ever used any sort of digital audio frequency sampler, anything that's attended to the audio side of things? Just wondering. It's because that is yet another method that we can use to enhance the radio. So if you don't mind, back to you, Carl. Back to you, KB2FA from M7BYD.
I've never done any external processing like a DSP or anything like that. I remember reading about all that stuff, but had not used that. But I haven't been on that old radio in many moons. So, but I have not explored all the features of the new one, so hopefully we'll get to do all that. So with that, let me say 73, and before I lose my voice, and I'll pass it back to Net, KB2FA.
KB2FA M7BYD. Sorry you're having difficulty with your voice, Carl. It's obviously one of those things that even digital signal processing wouldn't do any good for you under those circumstances. But even though you're feeling under the weather, thank you for taking the time to check in. It's much appreciated, and of course for your contribution. That said, I will give you 7-3, Carl, and I find myself at the bottom of the current list. I will ask if anyone would like to join me here on the New Hams Net. I'm Keith M7BYD, and I host and net control this particular net every Sunday, which takes place at 2000 hours GMT, which is currently 1900 hours UTC. If you would like to join me, please do feel free to do so. This is M7BYD, standing by for any more check-ins, please.
Good afternoon. King Able 3, Boston, Mary Sugar. King Able 3, Boston, Mary Sugar. In southeastern Pennsylvania.
Oscar November 8, November Tango, Jeff in Belgium.
This is M7BYD. I have got 2 additional check-ins, and I'm very grateful. We have, at the bottom of the list currently, we have ON8NT, and that's Jeff. And, of course, we have KA3BMS, which, of course, is Hank. And hi to you, Hank. So go to your good self, first of all, if we may. Don't know if you've heard a little bit of a topic I've got going, but it's really all to do with features within radios, what difference it's made to us all, and if you use any of those features, if you use external audio digital signal processing, please do let us know. Over to you, Hank, please. KA3BMS from M7BYD.
Make your acquaintance, and K3BMS. Direct answer to your question, no, I don't do anything like that. last new HF rig I bought was in 1986, March of '86. It was a Kenwood TS430S, and the fanciest microphone I've used on that is the MC80. Kenwood also came out with the MC85, but I chose not to have one because it was more susceptible to RFI. But that's the way it goes. I don't see any need for audio, any sort of screwing around with my audio or playing around with it, trying to improve audio at all. Only if in the event of using one of the old boat anchors on AM, such as a B&W 5100A or a Viking Valiant 2 or something like that. But then again, there's only so much you can do with that kind of old technology. But typically anything with vacuum tube audio reproduction is very, very nice to begin with. Thank you. I hope I've answered the question, Net Control KA3BMS.
KA3BMS M7BYD, thank you for calling into this net as you do regularly. Absolutely, if you're using older technology, it doesn't matter what you're using, so as long as it achieves the results that you require. If you're in a position where noise, QRM, however you want to phrase it, is at a minimum, then of course you don't need anything else. And having used so many pieces of equipment with valve technology, back in the day when QRM wasn't an issue at all, reception and audio quality was always about as good as it got, or as good as it gets, I should say, back then. So yeah, if you don't need it, well, that's absolutely fine. I can see. And yes, in answer to your question, does it answer my question? Yeah, of course it does. 100%. If you don't need it, you don't need to use it. So as far as features of radios that you do possess, that you find most valuable, doesn't matter whether it's sort of a new era radio or whatever, we all have features within our radios that give us that extra boost in being able to achieve the results we want within the hobby. So does that apply to you? Is there something you find that's better than something else? If you do find it, not, well, do let us know. Back to you, K3BMS, M7BYD.
Well, return to the illusion I made a moment ago, and that is I am a firm believer that vacuum tube, or I guess you call them valves over there, the technology is far superior than the solid state in my eyes. There's something much more pleasant about listening to valve vacuum tube audio reproduction. I own several still and have owned many vacuum tube receivers and transmitters. Currently, I have household receivers. Let's see, a Stuart Warner model. Now, write this down. You might want to look it up. Stuart Warner, WARNER, model 9001D. Hellcrafters S38C. Hammerland HQ 180A. This is a now have a Grundig Majestic console AM/FM radio with shortwave and on the radio and phonograph. Also a I can't remember the Admiral tabletop with the phonograph. I've had many other vacuum tube transmitters, quite a few actually, over the years, and I've since gotten rid of them at least 30 or 40 years ago. Also owned a here's one for you, Crosley, Crosley, model 73. A receiver from the 1920s, an old farm set, battery operated, and which needed one of those large horn speakers. But I don't have a lot of that stuff anymore. Just the four here at home, and they all had very good audio reproduction. Nothing fancy at all. There wasn't anything to them. Fanciest two-way radio I have is the Kenwood TS430. And that's good enough for me. Net control K83 BMS.
Okay, K3 BMS, M7BYD. Yeah, all points noted. Absolutely. I mean, famous names. Absolutely, well remembered, and the build quality and point-to-point wiring in vacuum tubes, valves. You're quite right, as we call them here in the UK. It's absolutely brilliant, and despite the fact that they're in glass envelopes, thermionic vacuum tubes, valves, have given such good service, and indeed today continue to do so. And there's so many people out there who still and justifiably use vacuum tubes to reproduce the very finest audio using vacuum tube amplifiers. There are some great models out there, very expensive models of varying expense, and they do amazing jobs in reproduction. And people always say they're much brighter, a nicer listening experience. And yeah, I've heard the difference between. It's subtle. You've got to listen for it, or you've got to know what you're listening to, I should say. I suppose it's like fine wines. Some people have got the nose for such things, and I've got the ears for them, or certainly had. They're a bit older now. They still work. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it very much. KA3BMS, 73 to your good self, and I'm sure we will speak in the future. In the meantime, do take care. We will drop down the list now to Jeff. Hi, Jeff. ON8NT, good of you to join me, as indeed you have. I haven't heard you for a little bit, and I sincerely hope that you're well. And what are your thoughts on my little topic, Jeff? Over to you, ON8NT from M7BYD.
M7BYD, the net from ON8 November Tango. A very good afternoon or evening or wherever you are. Nice to catch up again with you, Keith, and with all the people from the net here. Very interesting topic, I think. One of the recent things that I discovered actually is a piece of software for Windows, which is called RM Noise, Romeo Mike Noise, which means remove the noise. And it's based on artificial intelligence, and it really works very well. If you have already a USB connection to do FT8 or something, or digital modes, you are all set, so you can start off using it. I'm sure you can use it with a line in and a line out on older transceivers like on the boat anchors. I think that must be possible. And it's free. It's free. It really, really makes a difference to pull out the weak signals out of the noise. I have used it on single sideband and on CW, and even in FM on 2 meters, it pulled out the weak signals which were down in the noise. So I'm really, really impressed by that piece of software. I think if you Google it, RM noise, Romeo Mike noise, you will find it. It's quite interesting. So that's my contribution to this evening. I think it's free. Just try it, and I think you hopefully will be impressed like I am. I have never had something so fascinating as I have now with this RM noise. I'm convinced this feature will be built in the future transceivers which will come up on the market in a couple of years. I'm quite sure that will be a addition to the new set of transceivers, and that will have a price, of course, but now you can play with it for free. So that's my contribution, Keith. Mike 7BYD, the Net 08 November Tango.
ON8 number Tango, this is M7BYD. It's interesting you should say that, because a little bit earlier on, Bruce, who is M0UKB, has also mentioned two pieces. Well, it's from the same house of software, if you will. The differences being what grade. So in other words, the banana, and then you've got potato, etc. It sounds strange, but the particular versions that he's tested out work well. And you've just mentioned one, RM noise, which sounds absolutely fascinating. But how true those words are, if there's something that can help us within our hobby, and especially where you have the SDR radios now, it wouldn't take a great deal to program into or connect into firmware that sort of software, or firmware, I should say, that would enable the radio to handle audio in the way that you describe, which is great, Jeff. I'll just take a pip. Yes, so to me that very definitely is the way forward, and as you say, it's available now. We can use the USB connections for those of us that have radios with that feature. We can connect into our computers and take advantage straight away without necessarily going to DSP. Which can cost quite a bit of money. Good products, but if they're available via software that you can use on a computer that is readily available, to me, I think that's an absolutely brilliant thing, Jeff. So yeah, before that, now you've already mentioned that there is a way that you can enhance your audio out on the radio, or your favored radio, whatever it may be. Is there a particular feature that is beneficial to you? It may not necessarily be to do with noise cancelling. It might be something that enhances the performance of your radio to suit your requirements. Just, if you don't mind, I'll throw that one back at you, Jeff, just in case that may be something that is useful to you. And thanks again for joining me. A little bit of time since I've heard you. Good of you to pop by. Appreciate it. Back to you, Jeff. ON8 November Tango from M7BYD.
Yes, okay, Keith. Mike 7BYD, the Netto and 8 November Tango. Well, I'm certainly going to try the software that Bruce mentioned, the Voice Meter Banana. I'm certainly will try to test that out also because I'm always eager to improve things. You know, I'm living on an apartment in quite a noisy environment, so every help to improve the situation and to improve the seals is of course very helpful, Keith. One of the features on my transceiver, I have a 7300 and a 9700 from ICOM. One of the features that I'm using quite often is actually the RF gain. Playing with the RF gain can also solve a lot of issues, I think, from adjacent stations or from stations which are very near to you, or from some noise or some stations which are very strong. So that's also a very interesting feature to use, I think. Also in combination with the RM Noise app I discovered. So you can, you know, in the RM Noise software, you have to play a little bit with the settings, and you can adjust to your own taste, so to say. So it's a question of experimenting and playing, and that's what ham radio is all about, Keith. So that's my thing. The RF gain, a very important feature, which we are not using enough, I think. So back to you, Keith. Mike 7BYD, the Netto and 8 November Tango.
ON8, November Tango, M7BYD. Yeah, how very true, Jeff. If you that's the great thing. If we're on a net such as this, if anyone has got something that someone else may not have tried but would like to give it a go, I think it's brilliant because we have the opportunity to say so. Yeah, as far as the 7300 is concerned, yes, I have that radio. I don't have the 9700, although that would be absolutely delightful. Of course it would. No, unfortunately, I'm not in the position to have such a radio. But yeah, having the USB out and can connect into a computer and then play with the audio settings, you know, I think that's an absolutely fantastic thing. And what you have to say about RF gain is absolutely true. I play with that to that extent myself. And I'll just take a pause. M7BYD continuing. And some people say, well, you can't give an accurate S meter reading to the station. The most important thing is that you adjust the settings on your receiver to get the very best possible reception. And sometimes, as you say, if you reduce the audio input, you can improve selectivity. It can narrow things down, which is a great thing. So I don't necessarily use my amps 1 and 2 or anything like that. And using RF gain, dropping it down is just brilliant. So well said. That's a very valid point, Jeff, for anyone who's listening. Don't be afraid to say, well, you know, okay, I may not be able to give you an accurate S meter reading, but you can improve the readability and give them maybe a 4, maybe even a 5, where before it was a 2. So thanks very much, Jeff. Please do call in again. I would appreciate it so very much. And for the time being, I'll give you the very best 7.3. And Keith finds himself at the bottom of the list right now here on the New Hams Net. Anyone else would like to check in with me, you are more than welcome to do so. This is M7BYD, and I'm standing by for any more check-ins, please.
Well, this is M7BYD. This is M7BYD. I appear to be having one or two issues trying to connect via the SIP portal. Don't know if you're able to help me with this one. I would appreciate it, Gareth, if you don't mind. G0WUR, if I'm still getting through to you, from M7BYD.
Yeah, M7BYD from G0WUR. Yeah, you're making it through the system, no problem, Keith.
This is M7BYD. Thank you very much indeed, Gareth. I appreciate that. There was something strange happening where every time I keyed up, I could hear something feeding back through the SIP portal, which led me to believe that something was amiss. But not now. It's happening. It's working well. So yeah, and now I'll give another shout out, if I may, to see if anyone else would like to join me here on the New Hams Net. I'm Keith M7BYD, and I host Net Control, this particular net, every Sunday, which takes place at 2000 hours GMT, which is currently 1900 hours UTC. If you want to give me a shout, you're more than welcome to do so. This is M7BYD, standing by for any more check-ins, please. Oh, this is M7BYD. Well, with regret, it doesn't look as though I've got anyone else who wishes to join the New Hams Net presently. So what I will do is take the opportunity to thank those who have contributed tonight and joined in. I thoroughly enjoyed it, enjoyed every minute, and we get to find out more about people's experiences, which of course will help New Hams who are in a listening position, who may have not yet pushed the PTT, haven't necessarily chosen a radio or radios that will suit their requirements, and it's nets like this that will help them, hopefully, towards making a bit of a decision. So I'll take the opportunity to once again to say thank you very much to everyone who's joined me. And having reached the bottom of the net, I'm going to, of course, say thanks to Gareth, whom I've just spoken to, and he helps me so regularly. And indeed, he's been netlogging things for us all to see on NetLogger, which is a great way for us all to see the progress of the net. And a big shout out to our friends and supporters, International Radio Network, Rock-Hams Net, TV Scott Phoenix Network, Misfits Network, Ansel Network, and the RCWA. We do have some amazing collaborations. And to all the repeater keepers, hubs, nodes, and of course the admins of all the connections around the world, we here at the Extended Freedom Network are very grateful for allowing us to be connected to you. So I'm going to close the net, if you don't mind. This is M7BYD saying, once again, thank you to everyone for joining me. I'm now closing this net and handing control back to the Extended Freedom Network. And I wish everyone the very best of 7-3. Take care all. M7BYD is now going back to standby.
ID K3BMS. Thank you for doing a wonderful job.
K3BMS, M7BYD. Thank you very much indeed for the kind words, Hank. Appreciate that very much indeed. I do hope that, as you are a regular contributor, that new hands who are listening will benefit from the experience of those who take off their time, or give of their time, to check into this net and give of their wisdom. Once again, thanks a lot, Hank. M7BYD back to standby.
Here you go. Take good care. K3BMS 7-3.